about Mr. Acevedo? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's been a lot of situations going on, not only in North Las Vegas, but really the country as a whole, as far as what's called the police powers, where the municipalities and the government come in and they decide that they're going to take over a business and or a homeowner's property, and they basically use what's utilized as the police powers to basically come in and take that property over. And I just kind of wanted to get an idea of your feelings on that, if you think it's appropriate, and what would you do about it?
Well, every situation is unique, and what you have to look at is why they have to take that piece of parcel. I know with eminent domain, they need some residential areas that have to be sold to the city so they can continue to build on our growth. Our city wasn't built for the increase of growth that we have. So we have to change our streets, we have to change our structures. Unfortunately, you have to take from one to serve a lot more. So it all depends on the situation. If one homeowner stands between building a bridge that's going to help commute, bring jobs, and get people home safely, then I will say let's do the best thing we can to give that homeowner a fair share of the market price for that home, so we can continue to build. But if it's just to take it, then I'll be opposed to that. I mean, there has to, like I say, every situation is unique, and you have to evaluate why you want to take over that land.
Okay.
Very good. Rhonda Kennedy has one more question.
Yes, Ms. Wood, you did have the opportunity to answer my question as well on the issue of illegal immigration in the area of North Las Vegas.
Well, truthfully, I have to say on that one, I do concur with the other candidates. It's certainly an issue that I'm very concerned about, particularly in this economy. We do need to look at how we are dealing with the illegal immigration situation. We cannot have them taking jobs away from those who need them here and who are actual citizens. I do think that we need a system in place where we accept the illegal immigrants that we have now, but we have to have a process in place where they do not receive the same benefits as American citizens until they become citizens. And so I think, but again, I agree with Felix that it is a situation that's dealt with more at the state and federal level, but certainly I think that at a local level we can weigh in.
Yes, because there are cities in other states that have taken those issues and dealt with them on a city level as well. Just really quickly for everybody, just a short answer if you can, really short. My question is, first to Anita, you mentioned that you have played a part in, I believe, a foreclosure company or something?
Oh, NHS, Neighborhood Housing Services of Southern Nevada. It's a nonprofit organization that deals with foreclosure counseling, down payment assistance for first-time home buyers, affordable housing, and transitional housing.
Okay, one of my concerns is that I had watched Channel 2 and I was listening to some of the requirements that they had for people that get involved in these kinds of programs. And one of the requirements was that they had good credit, which doesn't make any sense
No.
because if you are, obviously looking for a place where you're applying for these programs, most likely you've had some kind of credit issues of some sort. So my question is to you and all the candidates, if you do become, you get elected, what will you do to assist these people who are trying to get into homes? Maybe they lost their job at the casino that they had for, over 20 years. What kinds of things can you do, in a short answer to help those people?
Starting with me?
Yes, please.
Well, I think on the local level, what we really need to do is become proactive. And I'm really disappointed that North Las Vegas has not taken a more active position. If you go to our website right now and go to our homepage, foreclosures are not even dealt with. That information, there are organizations like NHS that are out there to help people before they end up in foreclosure. And we should have all of that information on our website readily available for people, telling them about the state foreclosure website, giving them information on the 24-hour hotline that's out there, and talking about organizations like NHS that are approved. Because if we do not do this and do not give them this information, then we leave them open to rescue scammers who come in with these rescue plans that are not going to help these people at all and will probably hurt them more. We need to get the information out as to the reliable nonprofit organizations that will really help them. This should be included in our water bill. This should be included everywhere so that this information is readily accessible. In Pennsylvania and Minnesota, they even require that the lenders, the mortgage lenders and the bankers, when they send the first notice of default, that they do so along with a letter that gives the people information about where they can go to get assistance. We as the city should have all of this information available. We as a city council person, we should be working with the media, with the bankers to get this information out and make it a top priority. In North Las Vegas, we are one of the hardest hit. Our zip code 89031 is the hardest hit. And if we don't step up and start getting this information to our residents to start helping them, then who will? Unfortunately, it's people that will do more harm than good.
Thank you, Anita. Felix?
Foreclosures is probably the #1 issue that's affecting North Las Vegas, and like Anita stated, our ward has the highest foreclosures rates in the country. But it's gonna take more than just city council or even the federal government. It's actually gonna be a collection of government, businesses, and the citizens to sit down at the table and start renegotiating some of these loans. The banks are not gonna get no more stimulus money from the government. They're sitting back waiting for more money to come from Uncle Sam, and I don't think Uncle Sam's going to give no more money. So what we have to do is we have to work with the banks and make sure that banks sit down with the residents, because if the bank forecloses a house, the bank is not going to get their money. But if they sit down with the resident and work out a payment plan, a payment package, even if they have to extend the loan for 40 years or even lower the interest rate, they're going to get their money eventually. That's what we need to do. We have to aggressively pursue that. And then on the education piece, just like Anita said, we as a city need to be proactive on how we educate our residents, and we don't do a good job at that. We have to make sure that before a package is out on the streets, our residents are aware of what's coming. We shouldn't be late to the dinner table. We should be there early, waiting, smelling the stew, and that's something that we're missing in North Las Vegas. We have to make sure that we target not only homeowners, but everyone else, and make sure we target in different languages and in different avenues, because 38% of the population is Spanish in North Las Vegas. So we got to make sure that they're targeted in a way that they understand what they're getting, because if they get a message that they don't understand or can't read, it ain't going to do them no good. And that's something that we have to work real hard in the North Las Vegas Council.
I agree. The banks today are now required to keep bank-owned properties in good condition, similar to the other neighborhoods. There's also an opportunity to restructure mortgage loans. You can go on to 40 years and down to as low as 2%, depending on whether or not your income, your gross income, is less than 31% of your mortgage payment. Mortgage payment is 31% of your gross income, then you qualify for restructuring. I would propose as a council person to establish a hotline for the residents and to provide them with that information to allow them to take advantage of it. And the hotline would basically be me and any residents in distress. I would personally act on their behalf with the mortgage institutions. Many of the banks are very busy collecting their money and sitting in their offices. They don't get out into the community. A caucus of banks and mortgage lenders would be a good idea. Bring them on a little bus, take them around the community and see where their losses are, because they also are the ones that are suffering.
Thank you very much for that. And Don, Paul, another question before we wrap it up?
I think basically because of the time constraints. No, I'm good. I'm just saying that basically because of time constraints, I want to let him go.
We appreciate the opportunity.